Hello, everybody. It is me, your Brisket Tuesday, and today we're here talking about the Time I Got Reincarnated Slime episode 22. Okay, so we finally met the fairy that was in the opening song, and then I like how even before I checked out further ahead in the manga to read the latest chapters right now, which is basically this episode and maybe next episode. But I like it how when I saw her in the opening, I was just like, well, she's obviously the size of a regular girl, and then I see her in the manga and she's super tiny, and then I see her in the anime, I'm like she's super tiny. It's like, damn man, the opening song misled me. But maybe I think she might mention it later on this episode, or maybe in the next episode, where she's like, this isn't her real form. This is her when she's barely as powerful, because she is the fairy demon lord, which she might mention in the later part of this episode, maybe next episode. Where apparently she can grow to the size of a regular person, and then she becomes as powerful as demon lord. But right now she's at half power, or her lowest power. But even though she's at her lowest power, she's still pretty powerful. Even though that Milim or probably someone else could probably still kill her. Maybe the other demon lord should probably do it. But how at the beginning of this episode, when Ramiro was narrating the episode, he started narrating himself. He's just like, Ramiro was going on his journey. I like it how, because the main character is narrating himself in the opening song, he's going a little bit meta right there, where he's mentioning himself. It's because I've never just heard it like that before. It was cool seeing the labyrinth part. It was a lot more majestic and a lot more magical. I guess that goes within tune with the fairy queen's powers, because it was cool seeing how them walking through the labyrinth, and then she used her powers and made it so that way it looked all blue and glowing, and then she ended up making them go into a very enclosed globe room, where they had to fight off against the robot. I like how I think in the manga it was a giant rock monster that actually looked like a golem, but in this they made it sort of like a golem mecha. It's weird how when it got destroyed as pieces of rock and rubble and stuff like that, when it should have just been metal pieces just slowly melting away, which is I guess different. But I guess since it was golem, that makes sense. But I like how the Shizu students only have known Ramiro for 3 or 4 weeks, maybe up to a month, and they already completely are devoted to him. They all love him and trust him. And the same thing in the last episode. Uh, Chloe just loves Ramiro just so much. She's just being the most shyest, cutest girl out of the whole entire rest of them. I guess Alice is sort of like that too, with her just being an outwardly girl, but she's probably exactly like Chloe in that aspect. And the other ones are just following tail, because they just think he's cool and think he's awesome because of Ramiro's abilities and stuff like that. But at a certain, but it was cool seeing the Queen of the Fairies trying to get them scared and stuff like that, even though they weren't getting scared at all. I guess the kids were a little bit, but Ramiro was just why is she doing this? The fight against the golem was pretty cool. I think that in the manga it ended a lot quicker, but seeing how the anime delved upon it and made it a little bit longer and made it a lot cooler. But I like it how he's just dodging it, trying to figure it out, but then once he figures out how to defeat it, you saw him go through two different scenarios where he's I can't use electricity, I probably can't use my sword. So then he also said that apparently the Fairy Queen's golem is apparently as strong as the dragon that he faced last episode. I think it was last episode, but it's weird how she made a golem that's as strong as a sky dragon. And then after that, he ended up using his spider string to lock it into place like Soe would usually do, and then he used his hellfire, his purple flames, to just melt it, which was a pretty cool combo. I really like how the flame works in the series, how they just shoot a little ball and it turns into a giant globe on the ground, and then just destroys anything and burns everything. And then either than that, that's all that happened in the starting of this episode. Just them talking, and then them meeting the Fairy Queen, and them going through that little trial that she put on. And then he ended up defeating it. And then actually, I like it how after he defeats the Fairy Queen, he looks over and says, "I can see you. You're hiding in that corner right there." And then she makes herself appear, and then she comes out right away. She's like, "Oh my god! I thought that you guys were a bunch of humans just walking in, but you're super strong. So I should just listen to you." And then she says that she's reporting for duty and stuff like that, which is pretty cute in that aspect. But yeah, I can't wait to see the rest of this episode. Not much happened so far, even though that the midpoint is at 10 minutes. I just realized the midpoint of this episode is 10 minutes long, and there's still so much of this episode to watch. So maybe I might stop this at 15 minutes, or maybe I'll still remember stuff when I watch the rest of this episode if I watch it in full, because I might forget a few things if I don't stop. But yeah, I'll be back in a few minutes to review the rest of this. Okay, I am back. Cliffhanger. Cliffhanger, cliffhanger. Why are you doing this to me, cliffhanger? Seriously, as soon as when they were about to summon the superior souls in order to save the children, or when Mira is trying to save the children, cliffhanger. We're not gonna see that part until next episode. Just Damn, man. One thing that I was thinking about, that like when Ramir creates the golem, it's a little bit of like a man. He's probably just gonna create that out of nowhere, right? Because like in the manga, there's like sort of like an explanation. I don't know how he did it in the light novel, but in the manga, it seemed pretty cool how he did the golem creation with that he's probably going to do next episode if they even show it, because like that because I did see what the golem looks like in the opening song, if you know, if you've seen it, but I think he even looks cooler in the manga. Fairy queen slash demon lord, and then seeing how apparently she's friends, or I guess somewhat friends, with Milim, because apparently Milim showed up and she was like telling telling the queen of fairies all about Ramiro and stuff like that, because they're best friends now, which I guess is pretty funny. I like it how snobby she is. I really like her voice actor and the way that she talks and stuff like that, and the way that she is like really upbeat. So after the mid credit scene, they're talking to each other, and then for some reason Ramiro like turned into a slime and then told everyone that he's a slime, because like the fairy queen was trying to figure out why Ramiro was a new Milim. So then he turned into a slime, and then she figured out that Ramiro was the slime that is the ruler of the Jura Alliance right now. And I like how like in the manga he didn't show that he was a slime yet. Like right now in the current chapter, the kids don't know that he's a slime yet, which I guess would be a little bit more like drama based. But in this, he's just not very nonchalant about that, and they're just very happy with it. They just think it's cute and stuff like that. I guess they haven't been affected by the church at all, because I guess they just don't really care about them, because they think, because I guess this world, I guess the church doesn't really care about them since they're just kids. So after that, they start talking about Leon, and then they start talking about how he used to be a hero. I guess like we saw how there was like a hero that saved Shizu from Leon, like in the past, and I like it how apparently Leon used to be a hero, but then he turned into a demon lord, and they were talking about how you fall from grace. Now that's something that I don't think they talked about in the manga, but this fall from grace stuff is kind of different, because that seems kind of weird. Like I know that like in the future, like Ramiro would have to become a demon lord, right? Because like Milam just keeps on saying it to him, like she said it to him when they first met, but then she ended up saying it again, and then she ended up saying it again. So like with how many times she's saying it, that has to be like foreshadowing, right? Like he probably might not become it, but like that isn't me like saying stuff because I don't know stuff that happens in the future, but like he has to, that has to happen to him, right? So then after that, the fairy queen accepted Ramire's proposal in order to summon superior spirits like Infrit to take over the kids' bodies in order to control their mana and stuff like that. And then Ramiro was going to use his degenerate and generate ability to like be able to stabilize them in order for him to. I like it how they even mentioned like after like the queen said that she would help Ramiro, like they went on to like a new room, and I like it how like the room looks exactly the way that it looks in the manga, where it's like a very like light thing that spins around and goes up to the top. I like it how that works. I really hope that some of the stuff that happens next episode is like stuff that happens in the manga, because like there's one moment with Chloe that would be really, really cute and cool if they did it next episode. We also found out that apparently you can create your own spirits, which I think I remember that happening in the manga, but it's kind of weird how that's a thing. Like it's like you can summon them if they feel like it. If the superior spirits feel like it, then they'll come down. The queen said, but then you can just make your own if you want to. So I guess she can just like create one out of nowhere and then put it inside them, which is kind of an interesting thing to do. But other than that, that's all that happened this episode. Just a lot of stuff of them just talking and then getting facts done. And apparently, the fairy queen like can die and then return, which is weird because if like a new fairy queen became queen, and then like if the fairy queen that we met is still the queen, then what happened to the other fairy queen that was the fairy queen? Or maybe it's because she said that Trainee didn't know about it, so I guess maybe like no matter what she'll be the fairy queen. But it's kind of weird how you don't see any other fairies. You just see them, you see the kids playing with them all the episode, with them all episode, which is pretty weird because I guess they are 9, 10, 11. I guess it does seem weird for them to act like kind of weird with them playing around and stuff like that. But like I said, other than that, that's all that happened this episode. I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was pretty interesting, and the stuff that were going around, even though that was very talk based, but at least we had that fight with the golem with the talking. But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next week. There's not much for me to talk about this episode, but yeah, next week there's going to be a few stuff to talk about. So yeah, if you enjoyed this review discussion and my opinions on this episode, leave a like. If you didn't enjoy this at all, leave a dislike. And yeah, I'll see you guys next video next week. And yeah, bye.